Hi, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Ginger Runner Live, episode number 113. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, joined by
Kim Tashima Newberry.
Yeah, already off to a great start. Just started sipping our beers out of cans tonight. We're drinking out of cans, so deal with it. Very excited to start tonight's show. My guest tonight, we actually just met for the first time recently, but I've been a fan of his work for years. He's an incredibly talented photographer, filmmaker, adventurer. The guy has done a lot of work. I'm almost guaranteeing you have either seen one of his films or seen some of his photographs in the last couple of years. I can't wait to talk to him tonight. It is Mr. Matt Trappe. So sit back, relax, everybody. Happy Monday. Let's get the family together here for another Ginger Runner Live, episode number 113.
Ginger Runner.
Yay! Happy Monday, episode number 113. Our guest tonight, as I talked about him a little bit in the pre-show there for a second, an incredibly talented adventurer, photographer, filmmaker. We're going to talk to him about a little bit of everything. Because if he hasn't run some of the biggest races in the world, he's been there and documented them and met and documented many of the top ultra runners and runners in the world. This guy is just knowledgeable in all walks of the creative side of things, especially around trail running and ultra running and marathons and stuff like that. Very excited to have on the show tonight, Mr. Matt Trappe. Yay, Matt! Yay.
Well, hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Dude, super stoked to have you on finally.
Yeah, awesome.
And we talked a bit about it in the pre-show, but Matt, I believe, is the first guest in Ginger Runner Live history to be coming to us live from an iPad. It's weird.
Yep, I got it working. I'm just a technological savant.
And it looks good too.
It looks great.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we're missing is the widescreen, but you don't need to see those extra couch cushions or the extra wall.
I'm just right here. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I didn't realize that we could do that. I thought it was something that was technically impossible with the way that the show has to be set up. Now Matt has broken that.
The barriers are down.
Yep. Barriers are gone. So first of all, Matt, we always like to welcome our guests to the show, especially first-time guests. We have a lot of live viewers that are watching tonight. And if you have questions, those of you who are watching live throughout the show, wonderful Kim here is in the chat room.
I'm in the chat room, and we're already getting people. Colin B has already said that he saw Kissing the Rock film at Seven Hills in Seattle on Saturday, and he says good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah,
Seven Hills, good friend of the show, Phil, and the whole crew there. We've done I think a couple live shows, maybe one live show from Seven Hills. And we're going to talk about Kissing the Rock tonight because it is, Matt, it's your most recent work, right?
It is. Yep, it is. It just came out, a month ago or so, a little over. Yep.
Publicly, or you're just showing it publicly?
So it's not available on the web yet. It's making a film tour, and we've had about 10 shows with about 15 or so more planned. And it'll be on the web later this year. It's submitted to several film festivals, so you'll be able to see it on some of those tours. And then it'll be on the web once that stuff starts to wind down.
Great. We have the trailer. We're going to be showing the trailer for that a little bit later in the show, and we're going to be talking to Matt about the making of it, what it's like to document hard rock, what it's like to be at Hard Rock. It's a fantastic film. We actually saw it.
Private viewing.
We had a private viewing at Barkley inside. I don't remember the name of the car. What was it? A
jelly bean.
A jelly bean.
Three-wheeled jelly bean.
The one, I think the good thing about that jelly bean is that it had an auxiliary input for sound. So Matt literally set up his laptop on the dashboard. It was pretty great.
It was pretty great. But with 4 of us packed in it, like the windows were like dripping with steam by the time we were done.
Well, I mean, that was either from the body heat or it was just from Billy Simpson in your film just being so damn sexy. It is so great. Go ahead, babe.
Sorry, just to kind of inform everybody, for those who don't know the premise of Kissing the Rock or what it was filmed.
Yeah.
You just mentioned Hard Rock just now, but there's a lot of some people in the chat room that maybe aren't familiar with what the film is documenting. So maybe we can do a quick rundown of that?
Yeah, sure. People want to know, what is Kissing the Rock?
You bet. So Kissing the Rock is the story, the background of the Hard Rock 100, the Hard Rock endurance run that runs in the San Juan Mountains of Southwest Colorado. Started based off of the stories of the miners and the trails that the miners blazed in the area there, and as a way to revive a lot of the small mining towns in the area. So it's about a little bit of the history of the race, but also the race and the experience there as told through three or four different characters that all come from different walks of life and different perspectives, different ages, different experience levels, to give you a feel for it. So yeah, turned out pretty well, I think.
I agree. I think it turned out really well. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the brief description. Again, we'll show you the trailer in a little bit, and we'll talk more about that. I kind of want to talk about Matt's evolution. Matt, how did you get involved in trail running? Was it something that we hear it a lot. Were you a high school, college runner and you just found the trails, or were you in other sports at the time? And what was kind of the evolution into this realm?
So my background is in soccer. That's always what I played competitively growing up. And then after college, I tried to play in several soccer leagues, but it just turns into fights and people hacking each other, and the professionalism was gone. So I haven't played soccer in quite a while, but I started running because that was always something, of course, I did a lot of playing soccer as well. And the trails just kind of called to me. My first trail race was a marathon. I've never run a road marathon before. So I raced, I did a trail race in Indiana when we lived in Chicago. And then we moved out for a little further west here to Colorado. And I didn't look back. I haven't been able to run many of the big races because I work at them now. I'm usually shooting at a lot of them. And it's hard to commit weekends on my schedule because usually something or a shoot comes up, and it's always hard to turn down work or a really cool project. So yeah, I've run several ultras, but not a lot of the big ones, even though I've been to them several times.
And as far as being a photographer, do you call yourself a photographer or filmmaker, a little bit of both at this point?
Yeah, usually a photographer, filmmaker. Mm-hmm.
And how did that evolve for you? Did you go to college specifically for photography?
No, not at all. The furthest thing from the arts, actually. My undergraduate is in biology, and then I have a graduate degree in business. So I worked in biotech at several different startups for a bunch of years out of college and out of grad school, and transitioned from that over into photography. It was something I did a lot during college because I traveled a lot. I spent essentially half of grad school in Europe, a semester in Budapest and a semester in Barcelona, and I traveled all over the place. If I couldn't get anybody to go with me, I just went by myself and I just took a camera and I just wandered and took photos. And that was a point and shoot at that point. But I slowly just learned a lot and became really limited by that creatively. And it just grew from there. And then as I started to run trails, I was just really drawn to shooting photos of it. So I would, several years ago, I would just go show up at races and shoot. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah. When did it start to actually become a business for you? And this is your full-time gig. This is everything, right? So when did it make that transition?
Fairly quickly, I guess. Well, it doesn't feel very quickly in my mind, but I had been doing it part-time for, probably 2 years or so before I transitioned over to full-time. And I think my business background helped a lot because it helped me to be able to really play more of that sales and business side of it rather than just taking cool photos and hoping they stick, which I think a lot of photographers do. So I was able to take a real business approach to it. But no, it just kind of grew. It just kind of grew on itself, and slowly bigger and bigger projects would come, and more commercial work would come as opposed to just shooting events and kind of documenting those. And then the opportunity came to start shooting video. I shot a really small video for Injinji at Lake Sonoma like 3 years ago now. That was pretty much my first foray into video. And it was kind of the thing where the project came up and they needed somebody to shoot it, and I said, yes, I can do this, even though I hadn't really done anything before. And so I just figured it out and worked really hard to do that. And that was kind of the beginning. And it just kind of grew from there.
So, I mean, with the photography equipment the way it is today, was it something you're like, I have these features on my camera, so I'll just start shooting video? Or did you actually have to go out and get the right equipment and kind of change your whole library?
I needed some audio equipment, but I think for that first video, I had a D7000 at the time, and I think I just used that. But I had to get some audio equipment. I didn't have anything like that. I don't think I used any sort of stabilizers for that. It was either handheld or on a tripod. So no, it was a pretty low investment barrier to start doing that. Maybe software. On the software side, I had to. I think I used Final Cut initially, and I use Premiere now. But that might have been a little bit of an investment, but no, not too much. I mean, the barriers are low with today's DSLRs.
Yeah, we're already getting a lot of questions in the chat room. I just saw Kim pull one there. Go ahead.
A lot of gear questions in the chat room. So Amber, Nathaniel, Matt, they've all kind of asked, what gear do you prefer? What are what are your key pieces?
And I'll dovetail that question, Matt. What did you start using? Like, what was some of the equipment that you started using, and what do you use now?
So I started on a D7000. That was the first DSLR that I had, and it was a fantastic camera at the time. I think I probably used that camera. I have more shutter counts on that camera than I did on any other camera I've ever owned. But now, like to shoot this weekend, I use the new Nikon D5 and a D810. That's what I use for photo work. For video, I have the Sony's, the A7R2 and the A7S2, and that's what I've been using for video work.
And lens-wise, do you favor a zoom, a variable type of glass, or do you like primes?
If I can use a prime, I will. It depends on the situation. Sometimes I'm shooting a little bit more on the fly, and it's nice to have the zoom capability. For video, I'm usually always using a prime lens. It just is, a little bit, gives a little bit of a better color.
I know that those of you watching live are going to continue to have gear questions. Bring them on. I think of all the guests that we have on this show, Matt is probably the most knowledgeable when it comes to this sort of gear stuff. So definitely bring on the gear questions, because I'm always fascinated. And
bring them on.
Yeah, when we were at
bring them on.
It's like, what are you shooting on now? Like, how do you do this thing in the menu? It was like literally picking the brain of a master. So that's
there's some stuff I know. There's some stuff I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I definitely am not. I'm not a gearhead. I don't get all geeked out on the cameras, and I don't have to jump at like the first technology that comes out. I rent a lot of gear first. I still rent a lot of gear for some projects if it doesn't make sense to outlay the cash to own it. So yeah, but bring on the gear questions. I'm happy to let you know what I think.
So over the last couple of years, you've actually you've made a number of films. You've done some really big projects. Are you the type of filmmaker that comes up with the idea, gets the idea done, and then shops it around, or do you kind of go the other way and talk to brands, or does that even come into play at all?
There's been a bunch of both. There's been, when I made the film a few years ago about Scott Jaime on running the Colorado Trail, the film called Running the Edge, that was my first foray into anything long form, which I found out is a ton of work. And that came up kind of from Scott and I. Scott asked me if I wanted to come and document it, because we were just friends in the Denver area. And I kind of took that and just ran with it and shopped it to some of his sponsors, and really started planning out a bigger film than I think he anticipated. He thought I would just kind of capture it for his family and for him. So that kind of grew that way. With Kissing the Rock, that started with Ultimate Direction and Buzz Burrell there approaching me and asking me about what I thought about putting together a film at Hard Rock. And then Buzz and I kind of grew that from there. I made a film at UTMB recently with Sage Canaday for Hoka at UTMB this past year. And that one grew from me pitching an idea and just making it happen myself and getting brands on board. So it comes from all sorts of different directions, but you've definitely got to be proactive to know about what's out there and to push your own ideas for sure.
Yeah, one thing that I love to follow with you, Matt, is that you've been to all these big races. You just mentioned the race last year, UTMB, when you were documenting Sage. But you were not just there to document Sage. You also were taking photographs and documenting a lot of the large athletes and stuff there, elite runners. Do you have a preference one way or the other? Are you now leaning towards creating really cool films following individual athletes, or are you still going back towards photography and embracing that still?
That's a good question, and I'm always asked to pick one or the other, and it's really hard. My roots are definitely more in photography, but yeah, I'm starting to do a lot more video, and a lot more of my projects this year, at least they're just very different, right? So the video projects you always know about much farther in advance. There's a lot more planning going on, and really just bandwidth wise, there's only so many that you can handle over the course of a year.
Yeah.
Where the photo projects, there's not always such a lead time leading up into them. So they kind of just fit in between and come up more frequently, and they're kind of like a little bit of a flash in the pan in a way, because you shoot and you edit, and then they're kind of out to the brand, and then they run with them, and it's off my plate. So they kind of go hand in hand in a way, where the video is longer term, bigger planning, bigger projects, and the photo kind of fills in the gaps, I think. So I don't know. I really enjoy them both because they're so different, I think.
Yeah, Randy in the chat room is asking about clients, because I think you referred to most of these brands as clients.
Yeah.
Do you? He goes on to say, does the race hire you to come out and photograph or film, or do you choose these events to go do that and then do kind of what we talked about, which is go approach the brands later?
There's only been one instance I can think of right now where the actual race asked me to come shoot, and that was at Tearaware in New Zealand this past February. Other than that, it's always brands and sponsors of some of the racer, some of the runners, some of the top runners in the field for that particular race. Maybe like in the case of some projects this year, the shoe brand maybe that's sponsoring that race, like Ultra is now sponsoring Western States and Hard Rock. So yeah, it's mostly the brands that I work for, and that's who I refer to when I say clients.
Do you still find a sense of enjoyment of adventure, or do you find yourself, are you still just going on these adventures for photography or for film purposes, or are you able to get out on your own and race, or go on a backpacking or a climbing thing?
Not as much as I'd like to, and I think that all of the work with the camera makes me want an adventure without cameras that much more. It's just become more infrequent, because usually if it's something that's pretty cool that I'm excited about doing, I want to have a camera with me to take photos of it.
Right.
And I like doing that, but the thought of just putting it down and just going is definitely pretty cool. So yeah.
We've got to plan one. We got to get something on Matt's calendar.
Yeah. There's some in the works this year. I might be running, or probably going to be running, a Tahoe Rim Trail with one of my friends in June. So I think that may be a sans camera trip. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty excited about it.
That'd be really cool.
I got a lot of training to do though.
Yeah, if you're gonna do Tahoe Rim, I think that involves a little bit of exercise.
Yeah.
We've got some great questions here in the live chat room. Alicia Shea, I saw Chris Vargo was in there as well.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi,
guys.
Alicia, go ahead. What's going on, Kim?
Alicia Shea, question for Matt. When are you going to come visit Chris and I in Flagstaff for a canyon run?
I know.
Put on the spot.
You guys owe me a canyon run, because I was down there once. I forget what came up. Something came up and it didn't work out, but we were going to get out and shoot together, or get out for a run together. So we definitely need to do that. I don't know when, but I will let you know. That's an open invitation. I'll take it.
What else we got? I know we have a lot of good action in the chat room. Good action in the chat room tonight. Live viewers. Great stuff.
Wild and crazy.
Wild and crazy.
Good question from Pete Kresock. Matt, who are some other filmmakers you'd cite as influence, endurance sports films or otherwise? And it kind of dovetails on other questions who have asked, who inspires you as a filmmaker?
Yeah. There is a filmmaker I just think is incredible, and his name is Renan Ozturk. Many of you may have known him. He's a climber, and he helped create the film Maru that was in a lot of theaters, and just has done a ton of work for the North Face and National Geographic, and he's part of Camp 4 Collective with Tim Kemple, and I just think that Renan's work is absolutely incredible. His camera work is just beautiful, and he just seems to do it just very, very naturally. I was just out with Timmy Olsen the other day, and Timmy's worked with Renan through North Face several times, and we were kind of talking about his experience with him. And Timmy just said how it's almost just effortless the way he can run the camera and just turn out beautiful, beautiful work and beautiful stories without even trying. It's just amazing how his mind works. So Renan is one I definitely follow and look up to an awful lot.
Good question. And good answer, Matt. Good answer.
Well, thank you.
His eye is fantastic.
It's amazing.
Something that he shot last year is one of the promos, I think, or maybe it was 2 years ago for you, TMB, following Tim when they were running together. It was insane. It's so beautiful. I still go back to that piece.
Yep.
What else we got here, Kim?
Mopro asks, will you incorporate the 360-degree cameras anytime soon?
I have no plans for any VR 360 stuff. Honestly, I don't even know a whole lot about it. It's not on my radar.
It's been on my radar only for it's a novelty, right? It's one of those things where you're like, this would be really cool if you had like goggles or that sort of thing to be able to actually enjoy it and view it. I don't think we're there yet. We can capture the footage, but I don't think we're there to enjoy it as a viewer.
I completely agree. Maybe at some point, I think it's kind of cool. I don't think the medium to view it is there. I agree. So no, not on my radar, at least right now.
Have you used any VR goggles or anything like that, or like?
No, never. Have not.
They changed my mind on VR being a gimmick. I think. Were you there when I? It was a little mind blowing, dude. Putting on some goggles, which is just weird to begin with. But then being literally transported to another world felt wrong. My environment completely changed. I was in a kitchen doing this, but my environment changed to like, I think it was a movie theater. It completely transported me. So I hope that it catches up. Like I hope the viewing side of things catches up because it could be pretty neat. So I want to start talking about Kissing the Rock, which is this film that we talked about at the top of the show. It's fantastic short film, Matt.
Thank you.
We haven't been able to really stop talking about it or thinking about it since we viewed it that single time in the dripping sweat car.
I was just happy to like also not be in the cold.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, well,
and have like a private dinner party
in there. It was warm.
It was like a very private, intimate dinner party viewing.
Yeah. Your film was great, but that car was so warm.
That's not what I meant.
I know. It really is fantastic. I kind of want to talk about. Let's talk about pre-production on this. So, did you approach these? You know what? Actually, before we even get to that, I'm going to show the trailer. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, great idea.
Okay. So this will kind of set the stage. This trailer is available online, so some of you may have seen this, but here we go. This is the trailer for Kissing the Rock. Make sure I should play the right one.
The mines closed in '92. The whole economy of the town had virtually disappeared. Looked like Silverton, might just turn into a ghost town at that point.
The Hard Rock 100 Endurance Run was a way to bring some economic development to Silverton. The other thing was to kind of showcase the spirit of the hard rock miners.
Hard rock is a special race. It's wide. You can get lost really easy.
That's when it really struck us all of what an amazing course this was.
You got 48 hours. You're going for a long walk. Just get around it.
There's sort of this shared sense of suffering that that draws people together.
In other 100 miles races, we pay, we prepare, but it's totally different from hard rock.
We're going to have a 100-mile race. We want to cover as much of the Western San Juans as we can.
It's big in every way. It's big climbing, 34,000 feet. It's big altitude, big descending.
Some of the best moments that I have experienced is to see just what kissing that rock means. I get all choked up about it.
It's breathtaking.
It's so beautiful.
Every time I watch the trailer or dream about the movie again, it's just like You incorporated a lot of different sorts of shots, technology, time lapse, stuff from the air. Was this a different experience for you on that end of the spectrum as far as technique?
The aerials were. I hadn't incorporated the aerials before, so that was great to be able to do that. Time lapses, I've shot a bunch myself, and I shot some of the film myself. I also worked with Derek Lytle, who shoots. Really, his main deal is shooting time lapses, and he does a fantastic job. So Derek did a lot of the time lapses that you see there, and others in the film too. No, I don't know. Technique wise, I was able to use have a Movi M5 gimbal that I use, so I was able to use that with this. But I'd use that before as well, just not in a longer form piece, I guess, like this. So it was great to have that. I think that's about it.
Yeah. Are you were you just close to this race in particular, running in the San Juans? Was this something that you wanted to document in some respect?
Yeah, Hard Rock. I've never run Hard Rock, but I've been 4 or 5 times now, and it's it's just I feel very close to it. It's really the first big 100-mile ultra race that I ever took photos at. I showed up one year with my 03 Honda Accord, which has no business on any roads anywhere in the San Juans, and I hustled all over the course and just shot the race to death that first year without really knowing what I was getting myself into. So it does, it has a special place for me because in a way, a lot of things started from that. So I wanted to document and do it justice.
You drove a 03 Honda Accord to Hard Rock?
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Is it still alive?
It is still alive. It's like it's on a retirement plan now, and it's just being driven around the mellow roads of Boulder here. But I drove it on all sorts of roads that it just has absolutely no business on. Roads that I get flat tires in my Xterra now, but I didn't in my Accord. So I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For this story, you followed 3 athletes. Did you decide beforehand, these are the 3 I want to follow? Did you have any obligations to specific athletes, or was it like, I just want to tell what stories kind of unfold?
Yeah, I knew the story that I wanted to tell, and it was not dependent on anybody winning or anybody dropping or anything like that, because I think that's just the most difficult thing you could get caught up in making a film about a race, because it's just, especially Hard Rock, it's so unpredictable what is going to happen. And if I tried to make a story about Anna Frost winning and Anna got sick and dropped, which was certainly possible, then what do I have? So no, I had a storyline and characters that I thought told the story regardless of how they did. And Hans-Dieter Weissauer, who's run 140 100-mile races, all essentially since the age of 60. He's 75 years old now. So he's done all of this since about 1999, I think was his first 100-mile race. So really just a really remarkable person. And then Billy Simpson, who is going for everybody's darling, as Hans refers to him in the film. Billy was going for his 10th Hard Rock finish this year. So that was that. And then Anna, of course, is just a world-renowned professional mountain runner who ended up winning, but everyone knew had a really good shot at doing that. And kind of rounded out that perspective on the story and on the race. So yeah, I knew those 3 were going to be my characters, and the premise of the film was just to tell the story, the experience, and the history of Hard Rock. And I was able to bring brands on board with, that were really into that message, and not creating a film that promoted their product, but a film that just was really beautiful and told a really nice story, regardless of what shoes someone was wearing in it. And so that was how it all started. That was the pitch, I guess.
What do you think was the biggest challenge in creating this movie over other ones that you've made?
I think with this film, I used a lot. I had a really big budget, and I spent all of it and more. And I pulled in as many of the best people that I knew to help me make it, from running cameras to the edit afterwards. So I think all of that coordination from a real director and producer role was newer for me, because I've done a lot of things in the past just myself, mostly because budget dictates that, and it was a really good way for me to learn everything. But yeah, with this production, I really brought in a lot of different friends and professionals to help. And so coordinating all that was probably the newest thing that I really had to figure out.
Did anything unexpected throw you off the rails at all during the course of this? Because Hard Rock's, notorious for being a bit of a fuck storm.
Not really, actually. No, it all went pretty darn smoothly as expected. Hans didn't finish. I wish Hans had finished, but that was perfectly fine for the storyline. Billy finished. Anna won. That was all great. And then
spoilers.
Yeah, don't give us spoilers. Don't give us spoilers.
I wouldn't call those spoilers. You can look that up in any of the Hard Rock.
Yeah, that's on Ultra Sign Up.
It's exactly. It's not really the story. But we hoped those things would happen. So that all happened, and then in post production, everything went really smoothly. It was just great working with people that are better at editing than I am, and better at motion graphics than I am, and just being able to really elevate the production level was awesome.
We have a lot of live questions. If you are watching live and you have questions for Matt, whether it's about photography, filmmaking, Kissing the Rock, the movie that we just saw the trailer for, we're going to talk a little bit more about here. Bring them into the live chat room because Kim is watching. What do we got?
Well, first and foremost, lots of people in the chat room saying that they are going to be catching Kissing the Rock at their local running stores, which is great. Good. And lots of people asking where they can see it, how they can get their hands on a copy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know a date yet that it'll be up on the web. I've got to wait till a lot of the film festivals and the screenings die down, because we want everyone to go to those. The film tour, by the way, is everything's at kissingtherock.com. So if you go to that website, there's a bunch of information about the film, the trailers there, all the dates to the different shows. Those shows that have a different event page or something associated with them, there's a link to those. So all the info is there. But go out to the shows. We're trying to have a lot of them at your local retail, local run shops. So get out and explore your local run shop in the area. They're awesome, and I really want to support them. So go to the shows, and then the film festivals will follow suit, and then it'll be on the web. Maybe sometime in the fall. I don't really know. That's probably the best I know.
Yeah, I highly recommend you watch it with people.
So fun.
Catching it at your running store. I mean, just being in a cramped jelly bean of a car was like, it's engaging. The full list of, as Matt mentioned, the full list of stores, it will be showing at, I have a link in the description of this live show as well. So that's kissingtherock.com.
And I just tweeted out the link
as did.
Well. Yeah.
Great. So yeah, follow that link, go check it out. And hopefully it's coming to a running store near you. If it is not, like, let's say someone's living in a state where it's not coming, can they add it?
Yeah, so there's a link on kissingtherock.com for bookings. If someone is interested in setting up a booking, I can't do all of these myself. They're primarily free shows. So if someone's interested, fill out that form, send it to me, let your local running shop know. We'll include Hoka, Cliff Bar, features, we'll include the brands involved. Of course, Ultimate Direction. And in that show, there'll be giveaways, there'll be raffle prizes, they'll do a run. If there's any local hard rockers there to do a Q&A with you, that's been something that a lot of the shows have done. So it's a really good time. So yeah, if there isn't one in your area, let me know.
Do it. Go see it in person if you can. Also, supporting the local shops is always a huge benefit. What do we have for questions here, Kim? I know we have a bunch.
Question from Kimosabi75. Question for Matt. How many hours of footage did you have to edit?
Oh my gosh, I get that question all the time. I don't even know how many hours there were. Hundreds probably. I filmed for a week in June, weeks before Hard Rock, and filmed a lot of the mining stuff then. So I don't even know how many hours I had from that. And then I left and went to Western States, and I came back to Silverton, and then filmed for probably 2 weeks there, leading up to and during the race. So I don't even know, hundreds of hours maybe. I don't even know. A lot. That's going that first run through everything during the edit. Definitely is one of the more difficult parts, because you're just pulling through and organizing all the footage that you have, and there was quite a bit.
How big of a hand did you have in that? Did you bring on other editors? Did you bring on a crew, or were you all hands-on?
I did all of the early stuff myself. I wanted to really have my head around everything that I had, and I wanted to just kick off where that storyline and where the film was headed and kind of set that direction early. So I created really rough cuts of it and then organized all of the footage for other editors to then pull from and tweak the story themselves. But yeah, so I did all of the early on work, and then it was, of course, very, very involved, but worked with others from then on until it was finished.
What else we got, Kim?
A question from Randy Cofaro. Have you ever had any athletes say no to being filmed?
There's several people you'll run into at races that just don't want to be on camera for whatever reason, and that's totally cool. I haven't really had any problems with any, more sponsored athletes, because usually I'm just shooting the project for their sponsors, so they're
Right.
on board with that. But so no, not with any sponsored athletes. But there's of course several people not just at races, but all over the world, wherever you're shooting, that don't necessarily want to be on camera, and that's totally cool.
We had a question in here as well that I saw. I forget. It might have been from Randy. Might have been from someone else. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was a great question regarding what was more difficult for you, or what is potentially more difficult for you, running 100 miles or filming a 100-miler.
No, running 100 miles is definitely a lot harder. It's yeah, no, it's definitely a lot harder. The last 100-mile race I ran was Bighorn, not in 2015 but 2014, and yeah, it's just a lot harder running it. Yeah, you can't take breaks. You can't send somebody else up a trail to shoot something. You're moving. I guess that's more simplistic. You're just kind of one foot in front of the other, where when you're filming, you're kind of coordinating all sorts of other things. But no, running it was definitely really hard. It took weeks of recovery before I felt normal again.
Of all the things to take away from Kissing the Rock, what is something that you would want viewers to take away from this film?
I think that it's not just running a race. Really, with ultra running, it's not running 100 miles and that's hard. It's the community and the people that you do it with, and the experience that you share with them, and the bonds and the friendships and all the benefits that provides. That's really what's cool about ultra running in general, and I think hard rock really epitomizes that, because it's just incredibly difficult. And that was kind of a a throwback to the miners there too, and the conditions that they faced and everything they went through together. So that was kind of the parallel that we drew with Kissing the Rock. But yeah, that's definitely the message about ultra running, and I think the message for hard rock for sure.
This is something that I feel like in the last couple of years has evolved a lot, and that's just kind of trail running films. It's become a pretty big thing. People are really catching on to it. People are enjoying seeing races or runners do pretty incredible things. Do you see this trend continuing? Do you see it changing the sport at all? Do you see it becoming an issue ever? Having cameras and drones and stuff like that out there. Where do you kind of see this art going?
I think from the films that are out there, I think you're going to see it from a more artistic filmmaking point of view. I think I'd like to see it progress more from, here's this race and here's who's winning, and now they're in third and now this other person's winning. I'm kind of bored by that. I think the human stories, like behind the people that are running, the stories behind the races and the area and the significance of the race, those sorts of stories are far more interesting for me. So I like seeing them evolve that way. As far as just filming at these races, I think having been at UTMB, I think anything that anyone experiences in the States that they think is a real crazy media event is nothing. It's really small. It's really chill. There's really not that many people with cameras, and 2 drones in the air I don't think really are bothering anybody. So just from a bigger perspective, I think there's a long way to go before any sort of media circus is really becomes a problem.
We talked a little bit about it at Barkley and kind of riffed on like, well, I wonder if this is how this has always been, because there was a lot of media there, a lot more media than I'm imagining there have been in years past. At least 2012 might have been the exception. So you don't see that necessarily being Barkley, but you don't necessarily see it being a problem in the States, just because you've had more experience on the European side of things, and it's completely different there, like just far more
it's just yeah, I mean, like endurance sports in Europe are very much a mainstream sport, and someone like Killian in Europe that maybe some of us here have heard of is mean, that's like talking about Michael Jordan over there. It's a really big deal. Everybody knows who he is. So it's a really different world and ultra running over there. So you get a ton more media. I mean, the biggest restriction with ultra races here isn't necessarily media based. It's just the growth of the sport and the amount of people that want to get into these races, and that's just permitting issues and the amount of people that you can have on trails or in like Barkley. Everyone's based in one campground. There's just only so much room for so many people, and so really just the growth of the sport is kind of feeling that squeeze, I think, more than any sort of media aspect.
We had a good question in here. Kim, yeah, go ahead and pull that one.
Jason B, question for Matt. What would be your dream film to make? Location, story, what would you love the chance to capture?
Oh my gosh, that is a really difficult question.
You don't have this planned out already, Matt?
Yeah.
Like, what is your dream to film?
I think it's nothing that I could say specifically, but something with a really incredible human story. Just a story about a really incredible person, maybe their background and experience they've went through. Throw a beautiful setting into that, and anything that kind of fits that description is something that I would jump on in a heartbeat.
I'm actually just really curious. What's next for you? I know that you stay busy really frequently. I think you've already had like 5 or 6 gigs since Barkley, since a couple of weeks, maybe double that. I don't know, but you seem to stay really, really busy. You're booked out a lot, which is great. What's next? Is there a project that you are really excited about pursuing in the coming months, weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to be working on a project that between Western States and Hard Rock this year that's going to span both of them. So I think there'll be more about that will come out as you start to hear more about it. But I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a really cool film project. Photo wise, I've been shooting a lot more commercially, a lot more with artificial work, more for brands and catalog shoots. I just shot the cover of Runner's World that's out right now.
No big deal.
And then the cover, I also just shot the July cover of Runner's World. That'll be coming out, of course, then right before the Olympic trials. So I've been doing a lot more of that type of work with track athletes. Road athletes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think.
Remember when you were running while you were holding Kim above your head through the Barkley Woods? Yeah, it was primal. It was awesome. Runner's World July issue.
Can't wait.
So yeah, I've been shooting a lot more track athletes, road athletes. I think being an Olympic year with all the trials going on. That's been really cool to shoot. Just incredible runners running really fast. It's just been pretty sweet. So yeah, a lot going on, and I think there's gonna be a lot of really cool things this year.
Awesome. Yeah.
This is a great question from Adam Stevens, just in regards to your gear. He says,
Sure.
What have you learned in regards to what gear you bring out on an all-day adventure?
Mm-hmm.
What do you usually bring that would be considered essentials on trails while keeping it minimal?
If I'm shooting like something like Hard Rock and I'm huffing it up to the top of Handy's Peak, which is 10 miles round trip up to the top of a 14er, I'm taking one camera and I'm probably taking one lens, and if I'm shooting video, I'm taking a microphone. And I think having shot a lot and knowing my gear and what I like to shoot with and what I trust, maybe a little bit what I need for the shot I know I'm going to get. Sometimes I don't know which shot I'm going to get. I'll just know which camera I want and which lens I want to use, and just go as minimal as possible. And that's really good in a way, because then you're not fussing. Not only are you not carrying it all up the mountain, right, but then you're just not fussing with gear. Once you're up there, you're not thinking about, oh, which lens should I use, and then you just have one camera, one lens, and so you're a lot more in the shot in your head, and I think you get better content that way.
Yeah, there's this. I don't know if it's a theory. I guess it's more of a school of thought of you just bring. I've seen this a lot with travel photographers and stuff, where they'll just bring one lens, and it's not. They don't want to feel limited by having one lens. They actually feel it's almost more freeing, right? So do you find yourself kind of gravitating towards that, especially in our cases where we're documenting things that happen so quickly? You have to just get that shot. So do you like to have less choice, I guess?
If I'm on a commercial project, it depends. Like I said, if I'm at the top of a 14er or if I'm in town, it's very different with how much gear I can have with me. If I'm just walking around, if I'm just shooting casually, I have my A7R2 on me, and then I have an adapter for a Voigtlander M-mount lens, which is for the old Leica film cameras. I have that on my Sony, and just over my shoulder, the lens is the Voigtlander 40mm 1.8 Nocton Classic lens, and it's just absolutely beautiful. But it's a prime lens. It's a pretty quick prime lens, a manual focus prime lens, and that's what I'm shooting with casually if I'm just walking around visiting somewhere.
Nice. Hit it.
Well, there's also chatter in the chat room right now about Matt shooting the gingerrun calendar. There's mention of bearskin rugs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that'll sell big. Oh, people are just gonna love my pale skin on a bearskin rug. They want the calendar for this one right here. I can tell you that.
No, there's no mention of me.
But Matt, yeah, we're hiring Matt as the photographer. Sorry, you're locked in.
I'm in. Let's do it. I probably won't need it. I probably won't need any lights, right, Ethan? Like your skin will just
none.
Yeah.
One, maybe just a headlamp and just shine it, and it will.
You'd just be like a giant bounce. I'd be the same way.
Oh God, it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell like hundreds of calendars. It's gonna be amazing.
Like 100.
Or like one. My mom's gonna buy one and go, "Why did I buy this? I love my son, but why?"
Right.
We had a good question in here.
Good question.
Not relating to calendars.
All right.
Big question from Kimosabe. Matt, how many cameras have you trashed? Tripping and falling while chasing a runner? What's been your worst injury while filming on the trails?
I sprain my ankles a lot when I'm filming. I never do it when I'm running, but I do it when I'm filming because I either have a backpack on and my balance is off, or my face is buried in the camera. So yeah, I sprain my ankles often. I've fallen with cameras before. I've had a body break, but it wasn't when I fell on it. It just kind of was broken one day, which makes no sense. I've fallen on my D810 in the snow at Hard Rock, and it was fine. I've dropped lenses out of the back of my truck, and they've been fine. I think the gear is more durable than people realize. If you have video gear and you're running, and maybe you have a Movi and you have a gimbal, you fall, that stuff can be a little bit more fragile. But I think the lenses and the bodies are a little bit more durable than people realize. I've had my cameras really, really wet before, where I was scared and worried that they were gonna just shut down any second. And I mean, you dry them out afterwards, but they make it through. So trust your gear, pay for good gear, and trust it because it works.
That's so weird because when I started, I thought for sure everything I had was just gonna die. But it's surprising how rugged some of this stuff is built. Some of it's not, but most of it, if you pay, you get what you pay for. But if you pay a little bit more,
right.
I was surprised by that too. Where can people find work that you're going to be releasing soon? Should we expect photographs? Runner's World covers obviously, but should we expect photographs or films anywhere in the near future?
I post most of what I'm doing on Instagram, so follow me on Instagram. It's just @Trappy Photo, and then I just started up a blog on my website, and I kind of did a little run through of the shoot that I did for New Balance in November. That was for their spring summer line this year. So I'm trying to put a little bit more detail on commercial work specifically onto a blog on my website. So watch for a little bit more info there. But other than that, every once in a while I'll post something on Facebook. Usually it's just sharing an Instagram post, and same with Twitter. So go to Instagram first.
A couple of good little quick questions here regarding what's one of the best trails that you've ever been on or taken pictures of? That's from Aiden Carter. Do you have any viscerally memorable moments on trails?
There was a really awesome moment at UTMB this year, right at the top of Grand Col Ferret, which is the highest point on the UTMB course. It's essentially the border between Italy and Switzerland. And we were up there for sunrise this year, and it was really, really beautiful, incredible morning, with just incredible light and just layers of peaks in the distance. And it was pretty awesome. So that's something in recent memory that was really cool.
This question, you can probably tailor it however you want, because I obviously don't want it to be too negative, but from Richard Reed, what is go ahead, babe.
Richard Reed asked, worst shoot ever and why?
I don't know.
Ian's calendar.
Yeah, it's my calendar. I know it's my calendar.
Yes, that it will definitely be your calendar when that happens. Not
most
if, when.
scarring.
When. I can't think of anything specifically, but I know the photos that really shine, that are really good, when the athletes are really into it. If you're on a shoot, I mean, you know, sometimes you'll just have athletes that they don't want to be up that early in the morning, or just, I don't know, tired maybe from something else going on. That kind of shows through in the photos if an athlete's just not super psyched on a shoot. So you know, as a photographer or you know, filmmaker, you really try to build a good relationship with athletes and the brands, and make it a good time. But if there's anything that I think is going to make a shoot not go well, you know, aside from weather or something, it's just everyone there not being super psyched to be there. So that's really important.
We have a question from a while back from Nathaniel Lukfar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
It says, does Matt dip his toes into the sport he covers, which you've mentioned running already? Any running goals?
Running goals is what I was curious about.
People asking bucket list races for yourself.
Like I said, I'm going to be running the Tahoe Rim Trail in June, so I'm super psyched on that. That kind of fits into that category of just personal goals outside of races. I'd love to run Hard Rock. I need to get another qualifier this year because I don't have one for next year's lottery. So that's kind of in the back of my mind. But you know, running 100 miles is really hard. And if you're running 100 miles just to get a ticket into a lottery that you probably aren't going to get in for another 100-mile race, I think you need more motivation than that to get through maybe those last 20 miles. But yeah. I'm really motivated by a lot of smaller races that I think a lot of people haven't heard of, and you know, in Europe and around the world. There's a lot more of them now, and I think you start to see them, like, you know, this Madeira Ultra Trail that they just ran on the Madeira Island in Portugal. I don't think a lot of people had heard of that before that became a sky running race. So that I think is a pretty awesome one. So something like that I think is a little bit off the radar, but like an incredible course, and something I probably aren't likely to have a job shooting at, would be something that I could sign up for and get really psyched about.
Yeah, you brought up the Madeira Ultra Trail race. Yeah. That looked gnarly and
looked awesome.
It looked awesome.
So awesome. Yeah.
Major props to Zach Miller, who we gotta get on the show once he's back in the States. We'll try to get him back on the show. He's been on once before talking about his wonderful trail mix. Remember that? But we'll try to get him back on because he had such a stellar performance. But yeah, man, that whole race looked crazy. It looked
so
really
cool.
Really cool.
There's a lot of races around the world that I think fit into that category. And I'm kind of excited to find those gems.
I like that kind of a sense of finding the things that maybe the world hasn't found yet. There's a lot of races where the world seems to have found it, for sure. We're going to kind of wrap up the main show here with Matt. But before we do that, of course, Matt, where can people find you? You mentioned Instagram. Sure. Where can people find you there, website, and more information on Kissing the Rock? Let's just remind.
Yep. So kissingtherock.com is all of the hub for the info on the film. Stay tuned there for any future info if you're looking to find out when it's on the web. My website is trappyphoto.com. My Instagram handle is @trappyphoto. So remember Trappy Photo and you'll probably land in the right place. But those are usually where I'm at.
Do it. It's worth it. His photos will make you feel lazy and insignificant because they're so beautiful. They really, really are beautiful.
And I know you'll probably put the links in, but Trappy is TRAPPE.
Yeah, correct. 2 P's, just like in the title of the show you are watching now. Yes. So go follow him on Instagram and other social media. And Matt, before we let you go, before we go into the post show, we'll do probably a real quick post show with Matt so he can get back to probably sleeping because it's Boulder. They're an hour or two ahead. One hour ahead.
1 hour ahead. Yeah.
Go to bed at 8.
Go to bed. Yeah. With all new guests, all first-time guests on the show, we have a quickie question quiz. It's just a list of questions that we ask every guest, rapid fire. Awesome. First thing that comes to mind. You let me know when you're ready, and I'll just start.
Go for it. I'm not going to be ready, so go for it.
What was your very first race?
The Tecumseh Trail Marathon in Indiana.
Favorite running movie?
I think Curiosity, the UTMB film from Renan. That was awesome.
Trails or road?
Trails for sure.
Favorite place to run? And I'll say favorite place to run right now because that probably changes for you.
Yeah, it does actually. You kind of get on a kick for places. I mean, right now it's just your standard trail Boulder. I'm really kind of psyched that Mount Sanitas at the moment. It's a pretty tough climb.
Bucket list race. We kind of just talked about it, but is there something that you have not talked about that is your bucket list race you want to do?
A Hard Rock for sure. We talked about it, but it's it's hands down.
Guilty pleasure TV show.
Oh man, I watch like no TV. John Oliver is good on HBO. that's maybe the extent of what I watch on TV.
Favorite pre-race meal?
I usually will just have like a banana and peanut butter, maybe some oatmeal, something pretty chill.
Favorite post-race indulgence?
Burgers, wings, chicken wings. Yeah, chicken wings are really good after a long run.
And your current running kicks?
Right now I'm running in the Nike Kiger 3s.
And I'll dovetail this with one last question. Current camera go-to with lens combo?
It's my A7R2 and that Voigtlander Nocton Classic 40mm 1.8 lens. Yep, awesome, beautiful.
That's it.
Awesome.
You survived.
I passed.
You survived. Gary tweeted us though. What is
He says, "Shoot, wish I wasn't on coaching calls. Say hi and thanks, please."
Says Gary Robbins. He says hi and thanks, please.
He's so polite.
What?
Canadian.
He's what? He is so polite. He probably even apologized in there for some reason. Oh, I think he did.
He's just always chipper and happy. He was chipper and happy after Barkley, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah, you saw him. We had to duck out the night he finished. Did you see him the next morning, or were you just like you were out too?
I wasn't out that early, but everyone was sleeping in, and I had to get back to Nashville. So no, I didn't see him.
I feel like he's just notoriously kind. Doesn't matter if he finished 100 hours of sleep deprivation.
Did you guys talk about when he pulled up in the minivan when we were looking for him at the end of the race after he dropped?
I believe we touched on that.
And how seemingly okay he was after not sleeping for 96 hours and been going at Barkley for essentially 60, because I would have been on a cot in the hospital.
It was, man. Were you were standing with us, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was, because I barely remember, but it was almost like we were hallucinating.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Like we were the ones that had the problem.
A smiling Gary Robbins driving a minivan down the road going, "Hey guys, what's happening?"
Yeah.
No, this is wrong. This is like, I didn't even think to pull the camera out and film that moment until he like got out of the car and was telling us.
Yeah. Wait, this is happening.
Wait, this is important.
Yeah.
This is really Gary Robbins.
Yeah. Anyway, hi Gary.
Huge thank you, Matt, for being on the show tonight. I'm a huge fan. You're super inspiring. Your work is just, it's bomber. I don't use that word often.
Baller.
Yeah. Both. It's both bomber and baller.
I like those adjectives.
Really, really into Kissing the Rock. For those who are watching live, if it is showing in your area, even within a couple hours drive, go do it. Support the film, support the local shop. And if it's not playing in your area, there is a link on the website, kissingtherock.com, where you can get it shown in your area, which I highly encourage. Well worth it. And Matt, we got to get you back on the show when you do drop the digital version so people can download it, and we can do
let's do that.
We'll talk about that.
That sounds awesome.
So stay tuned if you are watching live and you want to know when Kissing the Rock will actually drop digitally. Follow gingerrunner on all the social media, and we'll make sure that gets published and posted when that happens, months down the line. But you'll be aware at that time. That is it for tonight's show. Again, everyone who's watching live, thank you so much for doing that. Monday nights are our favorite night of the week. Mondays are often not people's favorite days of the week, but for us it is, because we get to touch base with all of you guys
every Monday.
Yeah, even the trolls. There's a lot of trolls in the chat room tonight.
Trolls tonight.
Just like advertising weird shit, Matt. Just so you know, it's not like these guys are dumb. It's just like buy my doctor pills. Yeah, these pills will help you lose weight.
I get that in my Instagram comments sometimes. I don't understand. Yeah,
that actually happens a lot.
What are you gonna do? Thank you guys for having me, though.
Of course, dude. It means always a pleasure.
It means a lot. Yeah, I appreciate it.
And it's great to actually know you now, because we've just been watching your stuff for so long that it's actually like, oh, we know Matt Trappy. That's kind of cool.
Barkley's a good spot for that.
I think so. Yeah. A lot of time to talk.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for watching live. Next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every single week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Can't believe I said that one.
That's so bomber.
It's so bomber.
Bomber.
Go subscribe to Matt Trappy and show him some love and thank him for being on the show. You guys know the drill. Stick around for a very quick post show with Matt. That is it for the main show. But stick around. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Gingerrunner.
Nice. So Matt, we're still live. This is the post show where we just get to kind of ask some of the questions that we didn't get asked during the regular show. We'll only keep you for a couple minutes. If you
worries.
You have to go. Also totally cool.
I'm good.
The chat room was talking about calling Kim is the troll patrol, because there were a lot of like weird spammy trolls.
Yeah, the chat room was like really special tonight.
Like the first 40 minutes are troll free, and then all of a sudden it's like YouTube posted all trolls come here.
I must bring that out. My bad.
YouTube was like, Matt Trappy, keyword, bring on the trolls.
Pete Cressa goes, man, I was interested in those doctor pills too. I already had my credit card ready.
I'm ready for doctor pills. One question that I saw asked earlier, I'm really curious about. You probably won't be able to be specific with it, but how much money do you think you've invested in your gear?
Oh gosh, it's changing all the time. It's so hard to guess. And I guess my piece of advice as far as buying gear is rent gear. I rent gear from lensrentals.com all the time, and they're fantastic. And you can try gear out if you need something for a project, but you don't want to drop $6,000 to buy it. Rent it. It's really affordable. And so even for, there's a lot of pros that rent gear, because if you're not going to buy it and it's an investment. If you're not going to get the money out of it, then it's definitely worth renting it. So I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars. I don't even know how much I've spent over the years on gear, but I rent a lot more now even than I did before.
Which is crazy, because we talked about that at Barkley too. You brought that up, and I was like, so my commercial world, like my acting world, I would talk to directors, and I know a lot of directors that would do that. They would rent lenses because you don't want to go spend $250,000 on a lens or something. And it never clicked. Like, what a great way to test out a piece of gear, see if it is exactly what you need, so you're not forking out thousands of dollars for something that's going to collect dust. That's brilliant advice for any aspiring filmmakers. Go ahead, babe.
Oh, I was just going to say, speaking of gear, I can't find the question. I think it was Raul that asked about the aerial shots for Kissing the Rock. Do you use a drone, or was it a helicopter?
Yeah, drone or helicopter, and what kind of drone?
No, so there's it was a drone, and I have a good buddy in Denver that runs a drone company. And so he has really nice drones that fly real cameras, not GoPros. And so I work with him a lot when I can. He's FAA certified and knows all the rules and regs around drones. So he's a really great guy to work with, takes a lot of the pressure off of me to do all of those sorts of things, and is just really, really good at it. So it's a blast. He drives the drone and I drive the camera. So we're both each staring into screens on controllers, and it's a good time.
What does the front of your hat say? That's another question in here.
It's a Territory Run Company hat.
Nice.
Like matching.
Oh yeah, is it the same hat that I'm wearing?
From Brett? No, it's a different hat. It's
okay, good, because I think
this one.
I love that one. I think Gary and I wore the same Territory shirt.
You guys had the same Territory shirt, and I was wearing a Territory.
You were, you were.
Not tonight.
Yeah, much love to Brett.
Got a dog shirt on.
Shout outs to Brett.
He's definitely really great about hooking trail runners up and making good gear.
Really cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good question from Jason B. Is there any particular ultra runner's story that has inspired you in particular, and why?
Oh, that's an awesome question too. I can't think of anybody specifically, even though there probably is. I think, people just in general that inspire me, not even necessarily ultra runners, but there's some of those too. People that just pursue passions that they have, regardless of naysayers or societal pressures to, be a doctor or a lawyer or any of those sorts of things. Those sorts of people really, really inspire me. There's a lot of people like that in the ultra world. People that really want to run professionally because they love running professionally and just sacrifice all sorts of things and live off of, ramen noodles to make it happen. And so I'm just really inspired by stories like that, whether it's artists or entrepreneurs or trail runners or whoever it may be. I think those types of stories are just awesome, and those keep me going.
What did we just have for dinner? Ramen.
Awesome. There you
go. What was it? We just saw something in here that was good. The beers of the night. I'm drinking the Sufferfest IPA. We have a lot of it, and it's damn
delicious.
Good. Matt, I know that you drank during dinner. What did you have during dinner?
I had a Face Down Brown from Telluride Brewing Company.
Oh.
One of my favorites. There's no shortage of those in Colorado. It's great.
I really like the name, Face Down Brown.
Yeah, and on the can, there's a picture of a skier just taking it hard hard right in the face going down a run. So
you mean taking a fall?
Oh yeah. Face first, like yard sailing everywhere, and so it's called face down brown. It's a good one.
Thanks for clearing that up.
I had to clear that up.
Yeah.
Knowing
in your mind, Ethan, just wanders.
I can't. Yeah, it just does. It just goes to the darkest places. Matt knows after 60 hours of also sleep deprivation over the course of that, I think my mind was pretty delirious by that last day. People were talking in the chat room about the commercial world and $250,000 lenses and stuff. It exists. Commercial world helped pay our bills for a number of years. As far as being an actor, those commercials exist out there, guys. I was on TV, and some people have found it. Some people have found multiple of appearances, and it's interesting to have someone write you a message going, "Hey, is this you?" And me going, "Yes, unfortunately."
Yeah.
Is that my dad sending you an email?
It's Kim's dad. Is this you, son-in-law? We need to have a talk. Speaking of son-in-law, family. How are you able to balance family and adventure life? Because you don't bring, your whole family along for some of these longer adventures with you.
Yes, they come sometimes. So I have 2 kids, and my daughter's 4, and my son is about 18 months now. And my wife's just amazing. There's times when I'm gone for a week or 2, and it's just her and the kids. But then there's times I'm home for weeks at a time, and maybe I'm gone for a day here or there, or working for a while, but I'm home and I'm around, and I'm up with them in the morning, and I'm there in the evening, and I'm around all the time. So it balances out for the most part, but there's stretches that are hard, particularly in the summer and fall when I get just exceptionally busy. That's a little bit difficult, but my family's coming to Silverton with me this year.
Cool.
So we'll be camping and we'll be hanging out there. So they'll be around. So they do get to come, and my wife's good friends with a lot of people in the ultra world, and other wives and moms and their kids, and everybody plays. And so it's really inclusive in that regard. So there's definitely a little bit of balancing that goes on, but for the most part, it's pretty great to be able to make my own schedule for the most part. And that's pretty awesome. I'm lucky.
Nice, man. Again, Matt, it's so awesome to have you on the show finally, and we got to get you back on again when we can do digital screening or something like that. We'll talk more about what we can do. Again, those watching live, go to a local shop that is showing Kissing the Rock, or get a local showing for yourself, because it's worth it. It's a great short film about a great race and features some pretty impressive people. We're giving a little shout out to Billy Simpson too.
And his hair.
His glorious, perfect hair. He like walked straight out of a Patagonia catalog, and that man is dreamy.
He just is like cool.
He's just super cool. He is a super cool dude. And I know, Matt, you're just like, what? It's like,
no, Billy's
for all
a
of
man.
us at camp,
Billy's
it was like,
man.
Billy Simpson is like the dude. He is the dude. So thanks again, Matt. Really appreciate you taking the time out tonight, dude.
Thank you, guys. Thanks everyone for listening to all my babble. Have a good night.
Hardly any babble.
Yeah.
Hardly any babble. We'll get him on the show again, people. Matt is awesome. Go follow him across social media. Do the thing that you guys do the best, and we'll see you guys next week, next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in live.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.